You know, I took a decision about 10 years ago, which is about 15 years after running the company full time, that you need to put back into society a certain part of your skills. So whether it is working with the censor board, which is taking calls on what films could cause communal disharmony or relate in sexually inappropriate kind of behavior being encouraged. I spend a certain part of my time in ensuring that I'm available with my skills to organizations that, in a sense, implement policy. At the other end of the spectrum, there's the Advertising Standards Council. The Advertising Standards Council helps corporations to figure out in a pure industry-based platform what is appropriate behavior for advertising agencies and what is not. So I'm a great votary of self-regulation for some of these industries. If you want to prevent strangleholds of government, you've got to have powerful industry bodies that do self-regulation. So at the ASCII, for example, which is a completely different structure, which is non-government totally, again, my contribution is to ensure that as a PR person, I'm able to look at advertising from a slightly different standpoint and provide guidance to the other advertising people there about the way it would be looked at in government, by the media, etc. And this is only, for example, at the National School of Design, at the NID, I thought that communications is something that design does anyway. Every object communicates to you through its design. But as the NID, they needed to look at how they could communicate better about what skills they're working with their students on. So, or for example, if it's an NGO, what I work with them is on making sure that their image is in such a place that they're not constantly asking for money, but people are actually reaching out saying, we'd like to do something through you. So, in the contribution to the debate, in the contribution to the framing, and in contribution of the implementation of public policy, I hope that in the last 10 years that I've spent some part of my time, I'm making this contribution back in terms of the life skills that I've built up. You know, whether it was working with an editorial position at Business India, which is a business magazine, or whether it was running a newspaper for the Ambanis called The Observer, or whether it was setting up a journal for parliamentarians, all the journalism that I used to do actually impinged on some of the areas which I today work on. So in Business India, it was the element of business strategy. In The Observer, it was the ability to understand how government at the bureaucratic level functioned, because that is what the paper also focused on. And at the paper that we were launching for parliamentarians, it was looking at policy making inside the rotunda. So the idea was that I thought that the skills I had over a period of time, I was beginning to repeat myself. And I felt that rather than repeat myself ad infinitum, I needed to move to the other side, flip it over, and become an advisor to corporations. So it was in a sense a random decision, which was sprung upon by by circumstances, as it were, an opportunity arising and then I taking a leap. But also it was something in a sense that I had prepared myself for. Was it for this? No, the answer is no. But was it for something else? The answer is yes. It just happened that this was the something else. My read on paid content is that for a variety of reasons, and not a small element to do with social media, I think it was an idea which came, and it's an idea that's not going to last, because the piercing of that kind of pretended journalism veil is over. So today, when there's paid content, it gets pilloried in a manner that social media alone can do. On the other hand, there is, I think, at a social level, the whole issue of the right to information. So I think between the right to information and social media, I think the days of conventional, as we understand it, paid media is reaching its end already, very fast. I think if one were to look at things objectively, I think talent is going to be India's huge pitfall in the coming years. We are producing pathetic people for almost every kind of task. Also, with this new urbanization that's happened over the years, people have created a new generation, maybe 2 generations already, of people with expectations that simply cannot be fulfilled in the workplace. So people are hopping around, the newer professionals are hopping around, hoping that they can find someone who will recognize their talent. That's not going to happen. World over, today Spain has somewhere like 40% of the youth unemployed. The UK has 30% of youth unemployed. I think unemployment is a result of not preparing a new generation for what a work field actually is. It's not about jobs. It's about talent, and it's about recognizing that talent needs to do it every day to become talent. It's not talent because they think they have it or they have even a qualification. I think the PR industry has a huge talent problem. But the point I was making was that the talent problem is economy-wide, and it's going to be a crisis point for India very soon. What are we doing to address our problem of talent as an industry? 18 years ago, we set up an industry, institute to work on training PR specialists. It didn't work. But we've started one again because I think the time was too early then. We were ahead of the loop. But I think now, seeing the demand there is for PR SIMS, which is our new institute, we think that the time has come. People are recognizing, industry is recognizing, and also the savvier students are recognizing they don't have the skills. So we are now beginning again the process of creating talent. And the first batch should be out in a few months. And we hope that the next batch will be twice the size, just to make sure that the talent needs of this industry is somewhat addressed in a small way. I think the industry is headed to greater growth, without a doubt, because industry will grow at least twice the pace at which industrial growth happens. So that's almost a given. You'll find perhaps the growth of specialist agencies. So for example, at Perfect Relations, we've created Imprimis, which is a health agency, health and education. We've created Buzz, which looks at Bollywood. We've created Image, which looks at infrastructure. So I think the direction to go in the future is going to be specialization. And specialization at all levels: press relations, strategic advice, digital advice. So specialization is the second big change that's going to happen. The third big change is going to be that you're going to probably have to bring back people from retirement to find jobs, because I think you're not going to get the talent that you need for many of the things that the PR industry will need to do. So I think I see the age profile in the industry actually going up instead of going down, as is the case with most industries, most service industries. I would say that if one looks at individuals who are doing a great job at portraying who they are, the one who's a kind of runaway success is probably Abdul Kalam. Done a fabulous job as president, and he's actually found an afterlife, which is very rare. So Abdul Kalam, I would say, is one of those who does his own PR very well, but because he's a natural and he has so many aspects to him. In terms of stars, for example, I'm sure that Amitabh is a shining example of PR, and he does it very well, and he's also one of those who's managed the transition to social media quite cleverly.